Today we are talking about a gigantic frozen island that has all of a sudden become one of the most valuable pieces of real estate on the entire planet. Yep, we're diving into the story of Greenland.
I mean, just picture this for a second. You roll out of bed, grab your coffee, unlock your phone, and the top story isn't about the usual stuff. It's something way, way different.
The entire world would just stop. Europe would be completely floored. And you can bet Russia and China would be watching very, very closely. It sounds totally nuts, right?
Well, here's the thing that most people don't get. That massive sheet of ice, it's not just frozen water. It's raw geopolitical power. And whoever gets to control Greenland has a huge say in what happens next for the entire Arctic.
Okay, so to really get why Greenland matters so much, we've got to cover the basics. What exactly is this place?
First thing you need to know, it is enormous. I mean, we're talking about the largest island on Earth. You could literally take Germany, France, and Spain, smoosh them together, and they'd still fit inside Greenland with room to spare. It's just a colossal piece of land.
But here's the really wild part. Practically nobody lives there. The entire population is around 56,000 people. That's less than you'd find at a single big league baseball game. It is vast and it is empty.
Now, politically, it's in a really interesting spot. See, Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark. What that means is they run their own local government, but when it comes to the big stuff, we're talking defense, foreign policy, that's all handled by Denmark. And trust me, this little detail is absolutely crucial to the whole story. So why on earth does the world suddenly care about this giant, empty, frozen island? Well, because under all that ice, there are treasures. We're talking huge, untapped reserves of rare earth minerals, the stuff you need for your phone, for electric cars. There are potentially massive oil and gas fields. And, most important of all, it is the single most strategic location in the entire Arctic, period.
And all this new attention on Greenland? It's actually part of a much bigger story, a new global race for control of the Arctic.
For most of history, the Arctic was just there. Too cold, too far away, too expensive to even bother with. But climate change has completely flipped the script. As all that ice melts, brand new shipping routes are opening up. Resources that were buried are now within reach, and having a military presence there is suddenly a massive advantage.
And this has kicked off a frantic race between the world's great powers. You've got the United States, which already has a military footprint. You've got Russia, which is aggressively building up its forces in the north. And then you have China, which is now calling itself a near-Arctic state and is just pouring money into the region.
What's really fascinating here is how different their playbooks are. Russia is all about hard power. We're talking new military bases, missile systems, a huge fleet of icebreakers. China, on the other hand, is playing the long game with soft power. They're investing in ports, mines, and infrastructure, basically trying to buy their way into having influence. Which, of course, brings us back to 2019 and President Trump's jaw-dropping idea to just buy Greenland. Now, at the time, the whole world just laughed it off. But if you look past the headlines, there was some cold, hard strategy behind it.
His plan was really about three things. First, military advantage. The US already has the Thule space base in Greenland, which is critical for missile defense. Owning the whole island would give the US total dominance in the Arctic, forever. Second, those rare earth minerals. Right now, China controls that market, but Greenland's reserves could shatter that monopoly. And third, those brand new Arctic shipping routes. If you control Greenland, you control the front door to all that trade.
And this quote just nails it. He wasn't thinking about traditional diplomacy. He saw a massive, undervalued asset in a prime location and just wanted to buy it. It was a real estate deal, just on a planetary scale.
So yeah, behind all the jokes, there was a serious logic to it. But that brings us to the biggest question of all. Could the US actually pull something like this off?
Let's just cut right to the chase. Forget the strategy for a second. Is it even remotely possible for the United States to acquire Greenland, whether they buy it or take it by force?
The short answer? Nope, not a chance.
And the long answer is still a big no, for a whole bunch of reasons. First of all, you can't just sell a country full of people. Denmark would have to agree, Greenland's own government would have to agree, and the people of Greenland themselves would get a vote. And they've made it pretty clear they are not for sale. And a forced takeover? I mean, come on, that would violate all kinds of international laws and probably destroy the NATO alliance, since Denmark is a founding member.
So look, an outright sale or a takeover, that's just fantasy. But the fight for Greenland is very, very real. It's just being fought in a different way. The real game isn't about ownership anymore. It's about influence.
This is what the future actually looks like. The US will get even tighter with Greenland on military stuff. American money will start flowing into Greenland's economy to push back against Chinese investments. And all the while, Greenland itself is going to keep marching slowly toward more independence from Denmark, which makes it an even bigger player in its own.
And that right there, that quote reveals the new reality of geopolitics. You don't need to plant a flag on a piece of land to control it anymore. Influence, through money, diplomacy, and military partnerships, that's the new way to project power.
So, yeah, Trump's idea to buy it might have been impossible, but the strategic struggle for Greenland, that's very real. It is happening right now, far from the headlines, quietly, strategically, and with consequences for the balance of global power that will last forever.
Because the future of power isn't just in some faraway desert or warm water port, it's cold. And as that ice pulls back, the great game for the 21st century is really just getting started.